Audiobook Academy. Book Summary. The Swaggering Soldier. By Titus Maccius Plautus. Plautus, a Roman comic who lived from 254 to 184 BC, mocks human vices including avarice and prodigality in his play The Swaggering Soldier, Lot. Miles Gloriosus. Pyrgopolinices, the brazen soldier who stars in the comedy, gave it its name, and it was written between the 3rd and the 2nd century BC. He consistently exaggerates his victories in battle and his romantic relationships, and Artatrogus' flattery always feeds his ego. The intelligent slave Palistrio, who schemes with other characters to outwit Pyrgopolinices and release the girl he was holding hostage, is the play's major protagonist despite the fact that Pyrgopolinices is the reason the play earned its name. The comedy follows a classical structure that was adapted from New Ancient Comedy, meaning it contains 5 acts, 1 day's worth of action takes place in one location, and there is only one plot. We can infer from the aforementioned form that Plautus adhered to the principle of the threefold unity of time, place, and plot. The comedy differs solely in that the Greek play's prologue is absent from the comedy. 2 discussions are the starting point of this one, from which we learn crucial details about the plot and the narrative twist. Additionally, unlike others, it lacks an epilogue. Act 5 provides a denouement as an alternative. The characters' names all have special meanings and the story takes place on the Greek peninsula. For instance, Pyrgopolinices means the one who breaks down towers, Philicomasium, the name of the kidnapped girl, means the lover of noise and festivity, and Acroteludium, the name of the harlot, means unbeatable. Although Plautus' plays were highly regarded in the final days of the Roman Republic, their antiquated language caused them to be lost. The Renaissance led to their rediscovery. Shakespeare, Molière, and other Renaissance authors like him used his work as a major inspiration for their plot structures. He employed crude jokes, a street lingo full of humor, brief discussion exchanges in which the performers ridiculed one another, and he also improved the musical interludes between the acts to make the Romans successful. Although the slaves were depicted as crude and unrefined, there was usually one slave who was knowledgeable and obedient to his master. At that time, wealthy slave owners funded the arts, and Plautus developed the idea of the intelligent slave to defend slavery. The plot's resolution on the Greek island wasn't intended to be accidental, rather, it was meant to highlight the immorality, lack of culture, and illiteracy of Greek society as a result of their view of them as inferiors. Plautus was actually mocking his Roman contemporaries when he blamed primarily the Greeks for human failings. The humorous and folkloric writing of Plautus inspired many subsequent authors. Despite some claims to the contrary, he is thought to have written over 130 comedies because so many other works were created in his style. The Romans called the comedy fabula palliata because of the costumes the characters were sporting in the original Greek comedy, which was set in a Greek setting. It was also known as fabula togatas since togas were worn by the actors throughout the later ancient period. All of the actors were male, and they were dressed as their respective personas through masks. The swaggering soldier, the impostor, as well as more endearing characters like the clever slave, man in love, and others, are examples of the kind of human traits that plot is thought to be one of the best at describing. They will serve as the foundation for commedia dell'arte and Renaissance productions. The Scrooge is the comedy's most well-known protagonist. The play is written in the hexameter, which was the most well-known verse at the time. After the dispute, Pyrgopolinices and Artatrogus are introduced, who are having a conversation in which Artatrogus praises Pyrgopolinices' beauty for making all the women love him and Pyrgopolinices' purported battlefield accomplishments like fighting an elephant with one arm. The first act is used to introduce the characters and focuses on the soldier's foolishness, which would cost him dearly in the future. Artatrogus, a classic blunder, represents a society that exalts its heroes for their own gain. In contrast to the parasite Artatrogus, the soldier's slave Palistrio portrays the true soldier in the second act. In a conversation with his neighbor Periplycomenes, Palistrio revealed that his master is a liar. A cunning servant named Palistrio rises to the top, outwits his employer, and defends the young lovers. We learn that the soldier kidnapped a young girl and carried her from Athens to Ephesus, where the plot takes place, from the arguments at the beginning of the book. Periplycomenes, the obedient slave, proceeded to inform his master and Pleucicles, the kidnapper's girl love, of the tragic news. He traveled by boat, but while there, he was taken hostage by pirates and delivered to the same soldier who had captured the girl. Due to his desperation, Pleucicles rented an apartment next to the soldier, and when his devoted servant saw him, he recognized him. In order to allow the lovers to meet, he punched a hole through the wall. When Pyrigopolinus's servant Celadrus reports to his master that he saw Philcomasium and Plautus cuddling, everything becomes complicated. The cunning slave determined to use any measures necessary to prevent the soldier's servant from exposing the truth after realizing the secret had been revealed. He made the decision to persuade Celadrus that Philcomasium was her twin sister instead of her. He thought Philcomasium would have no trouble persuading Celadrus that it was really her twin sister who had come to visit with her fiancé. After Palestrio resolves to thoroughly con the arrogant soldier by circulating tales about a young married woman who wants him, the plot develops in the following act. He believed that it would be simpler to conceal the significant secret that almost came to light. He made an agreement with Acrotalution, who will woo the soldier and lure him into bed. According to Acrotalution, when a lady is forced to do a heinous crime, her memory becomes clear, and the servant responds that she committed the crime in exchange for his good deed. Milphidippa, Acrotaludium's servant, brings a ring to the soldier in the fourth act. Actually taken from Periplectomeneus, it was intended to represent a love pledge. She claims that Acrotaludium supposedly got rid of an elderly guy due of his love for a younger man, and she says she wants to meet him in the home her ex-husband left her after they got divorced. She then tells him about the story. Because of the soldier's admiration for her, Philcomasium was sent to see her mother in Athens, where her twin sister resides. Additionally, he dispatches his servant to travel with her. The soldier arrives at the residence expecting to meet Acrotaludium, but instead he speaks with Peripletomeneus, a man who poses as the alleged husband. The soldier justified himself by asserting that he was sure she was divorcing him and that he was unaware that his actions had damaged anyone's reputation. In the end, the mad husband beat him up and demanded a bag of gold in exchange for his life from his cook Cario. When Celadrus returns from his journey with Philcomasium, the comedy comes to an end as he exposes the entire deception and discloses the real truth. The comedy's conclusion provides catharsis because it shows that knowledge and love can triumph over all obstacles. Celadrus came to the idea that everyone should experience the same happy ending as the soldier. Pyrigopolinus is the haughty soldier who exaggerates his military accomplishments, is a good example. He is deceived because he is misled by himself and his own beauty. Philcomasium, the girl that gets kidnapped from her family home and becomes the soldier's servant. She was genuinely in love with her fiancé, but she also had a penchant for flattery, deception, and other traits that are typically associated with women. Palestrio, a cunning servant, is taken hostage by pirates and brought to the soldier. He is devoted to Philcomasium's fiancé Plautus, who is his true master. He stands up for the young lovers' rights and shields them from the military. He is in charge of the storyline. Celadrus, a servant, is significant because he gave his master false information that enabled the conspiracy to succeed. Artatrogus derived from the word parasite. He merely acts cowardly and flatters to get by. Periplectomeneus, an elderly neighbor, a friend of the Plautus family, and Palestrio's ally. Cario, Periplectomeneus' chef. Plautus, Philcomasium's fiancé who moved to Ephesus to be closer to her after she was kidnapped. Acrotalytium, a harlot who has experience being around men. Milphidippa, Acrotalytium's servant that takes part in committing fraud to the soldier. The most famous author of Roman comedies is Titus Maccius Plautus. He was alive from 254 to 184 BC. In Rome, he worked as an actor and stagehand until getting into debt and ending up as a slave. The humorous and folkloric writing of Plautus inspired many subsequent authors. Despite some claims to the contrary, he is thought to have written over 130 comedies because so many other works were created in his style. The most well-known ones are Man Each Me, Aulularia, or The Pot of Gold. He included scenes from daily city life in his works, but he also added rough comedy, musical cues, and burlesque aspects to the Greek comedy. The smart servant who plays the most significant role and subverts the plot is a defining characteristic of the Plautus comic. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more content like this. See you in next video.